Good evening, Friday crazy night, and it's time to talk Fulham once more. Doesn't really feel like a Friday. Of course, we're sort of in that weird transitional period of moving from 25 to 26, and yeah, it's good to be live. There's a lot to talk about for sure. We just had a press conference today. We had a game yesterday, a game again on Sunday. We are playing Liverpool, the champions team. We got 4 points from last season. We beat them at the Cottage. We drew to them at Anfield. And there's a lot to get into today. I can't disclose things that are going to come out at 10:30. But what I will say is, to start things off, do stay tuned and get those notifications on my tweets for 10:30. And that includes subscribing to Patreon as well. You can read the quotes as well. I've separated the embargoed section up into two sections. It was just me in the embargoed section with Marco Silva today. I was the only written journalist. So I asked him 3 questions and I've split them up. One's going out tonight, and I think it's a big story. And the second is going to be tomorrow night, 10:30. So do stay tuned. I've still got to do those quotes actually for tomorrow, but I will type them up tomorrow. But tonight, 10:30. It's only 5 tweets. It's not like there's going to be 13. You have to scroll through them. It's 5 to the point tweets regarding something, which is, I think, very interesting. I think the way in which the answer to the question was very interesting. So you have to wait for that one tonight. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Let's talk about, is the Palace game like old news now, even though it was yesterday? I suppose it's not. I mean, it's the day after. Jorge Cuenca, that whole situation. Marco has his take on it. Fulham fans had their take on it. I had my take on it. I actually didn't see the replay. I had the monitor next to me in the press box. I didn't watch the replay because I was sort of watching the pitch and seeing what the hell was going on. And then, of course, they go and score. So I'm like, oh, he's fouled, blah, blah, blah. And everyone just went nuts. And I was just like, I'm going to mute this conversation. It's getting too irritating. But what happened. Palace fans, Fulham fans, they disagreed with what I had to say on it. It's fine. We ended up getting a point. And that I'm glad, because that's not the narrative of the game now. It's not going to be about that goal we conceded, although it was part of it. And we almost won it, Anderson and Castagna. If that ball falls to Wilson, he sticks the other side of Henderson. It's 2-1. Because that's just the sort of striker or forwards instinct. Whereas Castagna, like, it's a first viewing, I was like, oh my God, what a save. And then you look at the replay and you go, oh, he's hit straight at him. Oh, such a good opportunity. The way the ball fell to him as well, slightly lucky. Took a deflection off, I don't know, Lerma or Gahey, who it was. And oh God, it was such a big chance. And then Anderson as well. And sort of a melee inside the box. You think there's a handball there, and suddenly Anderson actually smashes it over the bar. Would have been similar to Tim Ream's goal he scored a couple of years ago at Selhurst Park. And if Anderson would have scored the winning goal in added time against Crystal Palace, against his former team, there would have been so much narrative there. It would have been really, really funny. So yeah, welcome along to this stream. I'm going to go into about the darts semi-final starts because I'm very keen to watch. I didn't even know it was on tonight, to be fair. I thought it was tomorrow night, but the darts semi-final is tonight. Luke Littler versus Ryan Searle at about 7:40, and then Van Veen against Gary Anderson at 9:30. That is going to be one hell of a way to spend your evening. But let's talk transfers, I think, first. I think that's probably the most pressing issue. That's why I'm live, sort of keeping this conversation going, hopefully manifesting things to happen in the market. We'll get through a couple of questions as well that have come on Twitter as well. I put the link to my Patreon, of course, in the YouTube chat as well. If those who want to subscribe, please do. We're going to get some new members in, hopefully this month as well. Join us on the trail. Luke says, are you worried about the lack of midfield signing rumours? Yes and no, I suppose, because it's such a short space of time, you want the rumours to sort of start before the window opens. And then as that's the thing, like, one day and the window's gone. This is now the second day, and then it's the third day, and you can already sort of, I've only got 28 days to go. Whereas in the summer, it's such a long space of time. You always get rumours almost before the season even ends, and it rumbles all the way up until September. So this is yes, I am fairly concerned that there's no midfield rumours, but also there is a long way to go technically. And rumours, that's the thing. Like this word rumor, like I think I'm sort of biased from what sort of Marcus Silva said today about that sort of subject. It's like, rumors are rumors, right? Anyone can make up a rumor. Luke could make up a rumor, and if he puts enough hashtags and gets some traction, people might pick it up. You've seen those, like your dad sells Avon, making it onto Sky Sports or whatever it was. That's a rumor which has no substance, but yeah, it still gets picked up. So rumors, and that's the thing. Like you can sign a player like I can't think now. Who was a signing that came out of nowhere? Ryan Sessegnon, who was a signing that we were linked with for weeks and weeks and weeks. It finally got done. These things can happen very, very quickly. Transfers, can't they? Especially in this congested window as well. This congested window, things can happen very, very quickly. That's my take on it. How's your relationship with Marco? Seem to often have one-on-ones with him. It's unbelievable. It's really like as in it's unbelievable to me that that's a possibility that happens. I think we've got a good rapport, and I think that because he knows I think he probably knows I'm a Fulham fan, and he knows I'm there every week. So he's got this sort of understanding where he can sort of. No, I was going to say speak to the fans through me. I think that's a bit taking it a bit too far, because he obviously speaks to the club, and the club put out things when he talks about the fans as well. But maybe he knows I'm a fan and therefore can sort of relate in that sort of way. But yeah, we've got a good rapport. We get on well, and we have good conversations. I've very rarely put a question to him where he's not really like that question. Usually it's a question he enjoys because it's quite niche and it's something that obviously he's picked up on, or I picked up on, and he can agree with that. But yeah, it's good. It's really good. I'm pleased that, and that's why I'm very comfortable with Marco Silva as manager. Like, you get a new manager, you have to build sort of new relationship with him. Whoever comes in, and I hope obviously Marco Silva stays, and we can continue that, and not only for myself but for the Fulham fans and for the club as well, obviously. News on Adama, 10:30. What's your honest opinions on Sterling? For me, it's good for the locker room and youth mentoring, but as far as on the pitch, I'm not in the slightest moved. Now, Raheem Sterling is an interesting one, right? I think that all of the rumours about Raheem Sterling are all agent-led. It's his agent going, you haven't played any football this season. You're in a bomb squad at them lot down the road. You need to play some football, not even because it's a World Cup year, but just for the sake of your career, for the sake of your mental well-being, for the sake of your family, whatever. Like, this is your career, and you're not even playing football, and you're a World Cup, Premier League winning superstar. Like, that's been your career. The concern for me is that I don't think we're necessarily interested in him. I think it's him going, I'm interested in joining a club. And if I had a pick of realistically where I want to stay, which is London, that's a really good quote from TC. I just want to retweet that. I was going to type up those quotes, but I just didn't really have time in the end. So I'll just retweet it. It's probably Fulham going like, okay, we're aware that Raheem Sterling's available, but he's played no football. He's on a lot of wages, even though he's played no football. And he's going to take a while to get up to speed. Like, if you think about it, he's going to have to be thrown straight into it because we need a winger, right? And he's just not, in my eyes, I don't know, unless he's completely keeping up with training and stuff in this so-called bomb squad. He's not going to be completely match fit. We're talking about intense Premier League games here. It sort of reminds me of the Willian situation a little bit, but then again, like, the Willian thing was interesting because no one really was that excited about signing Willian. Then he turned out to be brilliant. And, he was here for, three sort of separate stints and sort of progressively got sort of worse and worse. But at his peak, the peak of his powers, he was brilliant, right? With Raheem Sterling, like I say, I think it's more his agent trying to look after his client and trying to find him a new club. If he has turned down West Ham, and been like, actually, I think Fulham would be a better fit for me. That probably feeds into the fact of where West Ham are in the table. He doesn't want to be in a relegation battle. Let's not lie. And Fulham are a little bit more comfortable in mid-table, so that would suit him more as well. This isn't about who's a bigger club, Fulham or West Ham. Like, that would be incredibly boring for me to sit here and talk about that. I think it's just Raheem Sterling trying to find a new club. He wants to stay in the Premier League, wants to stay in London. So, like, nearly every London club is going to be linked with him that he hasn't already played for. Palace could do with someone like Raheem Sterling, knowing their situation. Does he really fit into their system? Probably not. So he probably fits into Fulham's system more, right? So it would be, for me, my personal opinion is, if we were to sign Raheem Sterling again, and I feel like I said this in the summer, it would be deadline day for me, because it'd be like, well, actually, we haven't got what we want. Go on, then we'll have him for 6 months. But then again, that doesn't play into anything that the board want or what Marcus Silva wants, which is long-term signings. So maybe that's why we're giving it the wide berth as well. But he's sort of fluttering his eyelashes at Fulham, or his client is, and going, hey, I can still offer some things for Fulham, and play on the left, I could play on the right, I could play down the middle. But you look at someone like Tariq George, who can do all of those things, and you can sign him on a permanent deal. Hopefully that relationship is still intact from the summer. That for me would make more sense. It would feed into the long-termism that we're trying to achieve as well at the club. So that's my thinking. That's my opinion on it. Would you like Tariq George, considering what happened in the summer? Yes, I would. That's to answer your question. Happy New Year to you, Charlie. Hope all is well. Happy New Year. How many signings do you think will get done this window? Oh, it's hard to say. I think two probably sounds about realistic. I think knowing Fulham and knowing like we need 3, therefore I think we would get 3. But again, I think that unless we're really on it and we get lucky with the deals and we get to push through these negotiations, because like Silva said yesterday, nothing's really seems to be that close. I do caveat it with the fact that it's day 1. Although then you look at West Ham or look at Palace, they've got Brennan Johnson in already, and West Ham are getting in 2 players as well. I think 3 would make sense, but if it's 3, it means 1's coming on deadline day, because I think it's realistically, I just don't think we'll be able to get 3 done before deadline day, in my opinion. Should we explore the Championship market? Obviously, Hackney mentioned also some other good players, Loser, Chakvazadze. Absolutely. I feel like we said this on the last stream, didn't we? It's an interesting one, because it does feel like Fulham don't dip into the Championship market too often. In fact, the only time we have really done that is when we've been in the Championship, right? Because we're sort of surrounded by it anyway. But there are some really good talents in the Championship at the moment as well. I really like Watford's team at the moment. I know Tom Ince scored a hat-trick against Birmingham yesterday, which is sort of, he's not the star player for Watford, but he's still scoring goals. I'm not saying we should sign Tom Ince at all. I'm just saying, like, on top of the talent they've already got, they've got other players contributing. Jordan James, like I've mentioned, but he's on loan from Rems. So yeah, Chukwueze permanent, would love it. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, can that be done? I don't actually know whether, because it's been suggested that we can get the permanent deal done before the summer, before the end of the season. Like, am I right in saying that we signed Bobby Reid on a permanent in January during his loan spell? Is that what's happened? Or was it like, I can't even remember. Did we get him back on loan for the second season and then sign him permanently? I can't quite remember. But does the loan clause say he plays a full season for you and then you take the obligation, you take the option? Or is it you have always an option on obligation, you can trigger that at any point? As in, like, you can trigger it in January, you can trigger it in the summer at the end of the season. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with Chukwueze? But would I like him on a permanent? Absolutely. He's been a revelation, and we're really missing him as well. Let's move over to, oh gosh, okay. Got to move over to YouTube as well for the comments. So I'll come back to Twitter in just a minute. Tell me something good. Something good. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, you want some good news. Right now, I have nothing that's concrete or anything like that. And it's a matter of digging and taking phone calls and phoning up people and whatever. So my sort of working day is with the transfer window, you never really know, because things can just happen like that. But certainly for today, I don't think we'll be seeing anyone come through the door today, but hopefully things can start moving in the right direction. It was great to see Muniz in the away end. Absolutely. Avas sent a picture to our group chat and said, "Oh, look who's in the away end." I was like, "Oh my God, Rodrigo, that's pretty cool." It's good to see that. Sometimes you get players going into the away end and they it's weird. They go in the away end and they act like they don't want to be like mobbed or anything because they're just there to watch the game. But you're obviously going to get mobbed. Rodrigo's like the nicest guy in the world, isn't he? So apparently he was taking pictures of everyone and people singing his song. He said he enjoyed it. I think there's a little clip going around from the club today about his reaction to being in the away end. It's nice to see, isn't it? Would have been great to see a winner in the away end for him as well, or on the pitch for him to celebrate in the away end. Any news on potential outgoings other than Adama? No news. I'd like a Marco signature followed the next day by a double midfield and striker announcement. Boy, would we! Absolutely, 100%. Good afternoon, Kevin. How do you feel about Cuenca taking place longer term over Bassi? I think that Bassi needs to fight for the spot. Yeah, look, I think that Calvin Bassi is going to have to work his way back in the team. Look, Cuenca had a bit of a... Okay, so he's not on the pitch to defend the cross, right? The way in which he went off the pitch, questionable. I'm still sort of thinking there was no need for him to be off the pitch. So I'm... so in terms of, he wasn't really at fault for the goal in terms of on the pitch, but he sort of was being off the pitch. But then was it his fault? I don't know. You sort of going around in circles there. He's been brilliant. Apart from that, I think he had a really strong game. Again, I think he's a good passer, progressive passer. But Bassi also brings fantastic things to the side as well. It's a real coin flip, really. But in terms of, does Bassi deserve to come straight back into the team as soon as he leaves AFCON, as soon as he gets back to Motspur Park, the next game he's back in? I think that's a tad unfair. Like, this is a great run and a great opportunity for Cuenca as well. Like, it's not even as if like the FA Cup's going to come around and he's going to be given a rest. Like, I genuinely think he starts that game probably alongside Diop against Middlesbrough. We might even move to a 5 at the back in the coming weeks to facilitate. Well, what we might do is play 3 centre backs and then sort of Castagna and then Robinson. I don't know. We'll see. But point being, Cuenca needs to... The only way Cuenca gets dropped for Bassi in the coming weeks when Bassi's back is if Cuenca drops off his performances. I'd prefer to play Kevin. I'd prefer Kevin play his way into form than sign Sterling. Yeah. God knows what Diop must be thinking after his great run alongside Bassi last season. All our centre-backs have been quite poor, with the exception of Bassi at times. I also think Diop hasn't really done much wrong as well this season. It's just one of them ones where we've actually, for the first time in like years and years and years, got 4 really capable centre-backs. And obviously you can only play 2 in our system. And Cuenca's obviously got his chance because of Bassi. You'd like to play a left-sided centre-back and a right-sided centre-back. And I think it's just one of those ones where Diop has just got to wait for his chance again. He's just got to wait for his chance. We did with Ivan Cav in January. Maybe it was Ivan Cavallero. Could Spurs move for Wilson to replace Johnson? They could. I would be surprised. I mean, you're sort of making the point that you lose one Welsh winger and you're just getting another Welsh winger. I think they'll probably look at other reinforcements. Do they even need other reinforcements ahead of Brennan Johnson? Do they have enough on that side? Yeah, it's an interesting point. But Harry Wilson right now, hopefully, will stay put and hopefully sign a contract. Moses, as in Victor Moses? I'm not sure. Honestly, once all our players are fit, we have a fairly strong squad. Agreed. Before signing new players. But if we can bring in 1 or 2 to push into Europe, yeah, agreed. Like, it's very, very unlucky, right, to lose Tete and King, whilst also having Rodrigo and Cess out. Cess looks like he's coming back. He's training with the team now, which is good. So we'll definitely see Cess back before probably probably King, maybe Tete. We'll see. Rodriguez obviously mid-Feb. Rodriguez getting there, which is good. And then obviously the three. Like if AFCON wasn't a thing right now, I think we'd be in a decent spot. But we're just not. When it rains, it pours off the pitch. But on the pitch, we're really putting in the effort. Like even for the half an hour or how many minutes it was we didn't have Tete on the pitch, it was Fulham pressing for the equaliser, getting the equaliser, and then pressing for the winner. And it was then Castagna, the sub, who almost gave the ball away. Well, he did give the ball away, and it almost led Palace in. After he just came on, but then he almost won the game in the last seconds of the game as well. Is King injured? I can't remember. Yeah, he's got a knee injury for now. Will definitely be out of Liverpool. We need 3 striker utility forward / midfielder, and we need a replacement for Pereira. We've needed a replacement for Pereira since the summer, to be fair. So midfield should be pretty high up on the list in terms of priority. Tyreek George in January. It's doable. It's a very doable deal on paper. Let's head back to Twitter. I mean, I would love Chukwu, but we need another winger on top of that. Agreed. And then also a Adama replacement. So would be a lot of buying in the winger department. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with Adama Traore. We'll see what happens with Adama Traore. Didn't have to get picks or anything proper Fulham. What Muniz? Yeah. Any sense on Marco's contract? It's difficult. I've been hearing like loads of different noises over the last like 2 or 3 weeks. Probably leading back to like Newcastle away was when they first started hearing some decent things. I don't know whether things have changed because of what's going on in January. I actually right now I said it like last week that I'm really, really confident. I'm still confident, but like those consistent noises I was hearing 3 weeks ago have sort of not died down a bit. But I actually just don't know. I don't know at this point, but I'm more confident than I was at the beginning of the season or at the end of the window for sure. It's just whether this window must be very, very key in sort of. I'm going to stand on the fence of right now. I think it's a wait and see situation, but I think it's more positive than it was the end of the window when he was like seriously furious about things. Yeah, so that's my take on it. Do you sense Marco is more happy? I sense he's more honest. He's being a little bit more. Every manager likes to hold their cards close to their chest, right? For sure, when it comes to tactics, transfers, whatever. And that's not saying that Marco's coming out and saying we're going to be playing 5 at the back or we're going to be playing 4 at the back and this is the formation, this is the tactics. Nothing like that. But in just terms of his way of interacting with other journalists and myself, a little bit more peek behind the curtain, a little bit more honesty, a little bit more frankness to it. Why is that? Maybe he just feels more comfortable. Maybe he just thinks that that's a strategy. But he doesn't come out and sort of give everything away, like I said. But I sense he is more. I think he's happy. Like that's to answer your question. I think he's happy at Fulham, right? But I think he is a little bit more honest and a little bit more open in press conferences. There was certainly one a few weeks ago where I was like, wow, that was who was the game? I can't remember. In pre-Spurs, but it was like a 45-minute press conference. I came out thinking, bloody hell. That was like, I've never seen that before with Marco Silva, but yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. Didn't think Castagne was that good. Kept giving the ball away. Yeah, I mean, he gave the ball away a few times. Also almost scored the winner. So if he'd have scored the winner, the narrative about Castagne would have been very, very different. But he's a safe pair of hands. He rarely makes a big, big mistake, does Castagne. Marco also does like going back for old targets. Example, Chukwueze and Pepe. I would say like old targets, if they are over 2 windows, I think it's fairly because that's like less than a year difference. So like not much has changed within the player's profile. So I think it's realistic for any club to be after, one window closes and you're not going to be like, well, that's that, then we can't get that player. Like if you wait a few months for the summer, you wait a few months for January, that player is, if fit, probably still the same sort of player with more sort of data and games and minutes under his belt. So realistically, they're still within the realm of what they can see as a target to bring into the club. So it doesn't surprise me that we see, or we're going to see, the same names pop up this January window than we saw in the summer. Pepe, Sterling, Tariq George, those sort of players. And I would like to see a Numa for sure. A Numa being a new rumour, but we're only a couple of days into the window. I'm willing to be a little bit patient, even though Marco said he wants early signings in. Let's go back to YouTube. Would you give I knew this question would come. Would you give TC another year for squad depth? He's good for 20 minutes and has changed games when he comes on. He's never been a pacey player. One more year. How often are we going to be saying one more year, 100%. I would never ever release Tom Cairney from Fulham. I would never have him in a situation where we've gone, actually, we're just going to release you. I want him to retire at the club. And if he doesn't want to retire for another 3 years, and then just keep signing on to new 1-year deals for sure. The impact he can make, and Marco even said this today in the broadcast. He basically just said, like, he's not going to play 90 minutes every week. He's not going to play full games every week, but he can come on for 45. He can do 45-minute stints, 20-minute stints, 10-minute stints. And if he makes a difference in the game with the ball, off the ball, scoring goals like he did yesterday, it's a no-brainer to have him around for experience, for leadership qualities as well. Like this season, TC has been really, really good. I remember the beginning of last season, we played in the cup against Birmingham, and he was really off the pace. But he got better and better as the season went on. He scored the goal against Brentford, of course, as well. And yeah, he's a safe pair of hands. Did really well against Forest the other night as well when he came on. It's a no-brainer for me. If TC gets to the end of the season and still feels good enough to do another pre-season and go again, yeah, hand him another contract, and then we'll talk about testimonials, and then we'll talk about statues, because it's a really special story. It's a really special story, and 11 seasons in a row he's scored now, which is, has that ever happened at Fulham before? I'm sure it has, like back in the 60s and 70s, but in the modern era, it's very, very rare. Not even with Fulham, but of any club. Pepe, George, and a deep midfielder, please. Someone who can tackle, but also collect the ball deep and pass or drive their way forward. Yeah, absolutely. I think we see that a lot from Lukic, making those forward runs, but it's Berger, the man, the shielder, the screener, sort of as the sixth, to collect the ball. I do think Berger's performances are getting better and better. I do think the Berger-Lukic partnership is getting better and better. That's even though I say that, when Iwobi comes back, I want him to be playing in the 8 again. I think Iwobi is such a smooth operator. He also gives us a wide option, of course. But yeah, I'm happy with the midfield in terms of I'm happy with the midfield, but I want another one in for sure. For sure. For me, Chukwueze is a must-buy for Fulham, not only because he is an obvious class player, but his one-on-one ability is something that we don't have much. And if Wilson Wilson offers completely different skills, yeah, 100%. Like, Wilson's not a player who takes a player on one-on-one. He makes those runs in behind. He cuts inside. He links the play. He scores. He assists. He's brilliant. Wilson. Chukwueze is more direct. He takes on his man, as you say, puts balls into the box and tries to get assists and goals. I mean, it's, to have Chukwueze and Kevin as those two sort of direct players really does add another string to our bow. And Kevin, for all the patience I have from him, he hasn't produced as of yet. I thought he was better yesterday again. I thought he played well. And I think his goal is coming. I think there's a moment for him coming in, a couple of efforts. I think one was offside. He went through, didn't he? But he had another effort saved by Henderson. His crossing is good as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a patient game really with Samuel Chukwueze, but sorry, with Kevin. And Samuel Chukwueze for me is a no-brainer to sign. How bad would it be if Marco was in the Chelsea dugout on Wednesday? Just unthinkable, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Liam Rosenior is going to be the guy, which is such a shame as well. Liam Rosenior, like, probably the most promising up-and-coming manager. You look at Will Still, and like everyone was like, "Oh, Will Still's gonna be the next big thing." He went to Southampton in the Championship, didn't do anything. That's all. Like, really unimpressive. Rosenior, this is the thing, like, I can't believe we're even talking about it. I don't really want to spend any time talking about them lot, but in terms of Rosenior as a man, really head screwed on. Okay, did all right at Hull, got the job at Strasbourg, is doing really well. And like you just know how it's going to go. You come to Chelsea and the pressure is completely different. The expectations completely different. The squad, the budget. I know it's all blue cone, all one big happy horrible family, and it's just horrible. But that's not how football should be. And the fact of the matter is that the only reason why Rosenior is number one target there is because he's part of the blue co family. Like he's managing Strasbourg. I think it's probably a no brainer that he gets appointed. But I really hope it doesn't damage his reputation. But then again, like he's at Chelsea. I don't want Chelsea to do well. So it's one of those like very naive. Like someone's got to have the job. Someone's going to take that job. It's not a naive decision to take the job, but it's like you are throwing yourself into the lion's den by taking that job. What time does the dance start? Is it now? 10 minutes, it says. Okay. Maybe we'll wrap it up in 10 minutes or so. Like I said, it's not a massive live tonight. We'll do big lives and we're like linked with players and we're close to players, etc. With signed players, or I've got any sort of news I can bring to you in as well. Curry mukbang on deadline day if we're busy. Could be. I wouldn't. Eating on stream doesn't really feel very nice. That's why I sort of was reluctant to eat the pizza on the stream on deadline day. But you've got to eat if you're doing a 7-8 hour stream for sure. We'll see. Kevin is getting better until he can prove the level he's at level that Chukwueze is at. He's our best one-on-one attacker. Yeah. Silva may have some flaws, but ultimately he's doing a great job with the squad we have. We have a good players. And with more depth, if we can get it, if we get the depth, we could really push us forward. Just got to hope. Yeah, I mean, like after the game against West Ham and Forest, I was like really positive. Like, oh my God, Fulham are heading in the right direction here. Everyone's aligned. I wasn't like deluded. I still knew that like January, or still think that January was going to not be like, well, 1, 2, 3 through the door, and let's fly now. Let's start focusing on the football on the pitch. Like we knew that January is obviously not. It's going to the whole month. It's going to take for us to get targets over the line. But in terms of the direction that Fulham are going in terms of the vision, long term, from the board, Silva wants. Well, we want Silva to sign long term. I'm confident that Silva will sign long term. I'm still a little bit. I'm still confident, but we'll see based on this window. I think it seems. Yeah, I feel like we've got such potential to start flying. But yeah, what's the news on Tete? Hamstring injury, won't be available for Liverpool. If I'm being brutally honest, I don't think he'll be ready for Chelsea or Middlesbrough. Maybe Castagna would have come in for Borough anyway, but it's gonna test Castagna for sure for the next few days. I think he'll be okay for Leeds, hopefully. But then again, Marco Silva could turn around and say, look, pre-Chelsea, he's ready for Chelsea, so you never know. But hamstring for now, Josh King knee injury. Let's head back to Twitter. Any updates on how Defugros is getting on and how his development is going in Belgium? Butchered the spelling, I know. Look, Dender, if you want to be, I've got Dender sort of notifications on just to sort of keep an eye on Defugros. Actually, it will be good to go and watch the under-21s as well. The day before we play Leeds, they're back in action against United at home, so looking forward to that. Dender are bottom. They are 10 points adrift from safety. They're bottom, and Luke Defugros has been injured for quite some time now. He got a red card at the beginning of the season, which was Luke Defugros. Here we go. Oh, he's back. In fact, he got a red card. What? He got a red card in his last game. He's been back for the last 3 games. Defugros got sent off again in his last game. I don't know how I didn't keep across that. When was it? 27th. Oh yeah, I was vomiting on my carpet that night after the win at West Ham. So yeah, I wasn't really quite in the loop. In fact, he played the last 4 games since he was injured for a few games. Played 19 minutes in a game that they won. They haven't won since and got sent off in the last game. Yeah, it's not going great for him, but this will be a good learning experience for him. I still think he's a very good player, and Canada rate him incredibly high. So, or highly. So I think he'll be involved in the World Cup squad for sure. Any more news on transfers? No, not at this moment. If I had something, I will tweet it. But yeah, just look out for the embargo stuff tonight for sure. Last year's stream was very good. Thank you. I don't know if it'll be as good as it was in the summer, but it will certainly go live if things are happening for sure. Thoughts on the JK situation? I think if we sign a striker and it's like a Pepe, I think that's probably that. I think there was a rumor today that the Bayern Munich are looking to bring it back anyway. So then they're probably not happy with the amount of minutes he's got. I don't necessarily think Marco was too happy about the signing of JK in the end because he wanted someone higher up on his list, but it couldn't be done. They just need to get in someone. It was a bit of a disaster, in my opinion, but it has been a disaster a little bit. Albeit he's looked okay when he's played, like the 23 or so minutes he's played in the Premier League. I just think that if we sign a striker, which I think we're trying to do anyway, it's going to probably cut short the loan unless he just wants to play in the 21s for the second half of the season, and then Lapalo B goes out on loan again, like he did last season to the Conference or whatever, League Two, then maybe that could work. But I don't think Bayern Munich will necessarily be too pleased about that as well, and they probably have the biggest say in it because it's their player. Do I think we're going to trigger the option to sign JK? I think there's absolutely no chance at 12 million. Yeah, that's my take on things. The darts close to starting now. I mean, I'll keep an eye on it. Usually start a little bit later than usual and scheduled. Do you think it's all transfer hype yet again? Lowballing on fees and dragging out until the end of the month. Going to take 70, 80 mil to get the 3 we need. 7 minutes. Oh, what for the darts? Thank you. I think lowballing for the Pepe for what's been rumored, 26 mil, and they want 40. Let's talk about the Pepe situation. Maybe we're lowballing them. Dean Jones came out with an article basically saying that if Fulham want to get the deal done for Pepe, they either have to pay £40 million or 40 million euros, however, to PSV, or Pepe's got to indicate that he wants to leave and go to Fulham, and then they can agree a cheaper price, probably around 35 million. I don't know what's going to happen first. I don't think Fulham are going to stump up 40 million in January. I think that's more of a summer thing. But even then, like, does it actually make a difference? That's the thing. Like, does it actually make a difference whether, when we're talking long-term targets, when we're talking these are the players we want for the future, what difference does it make to do it now in January? The only way it makes any sort of difference, and we'll actually use the West Ham example, is if you're in a relegation battle. Because if you're in a relegation battle and you splash 80 million pounds or 2 and 3 players in January and then get relegated, you're like, oh my God, what do we do now? We're financially crippled and we've now got 3 more players who don't want to be here and play in the Championship. Whereas with Fulham, they're safe. Okay, we're pretty much okay, right? We're 27 points after 19 games. We're halfway to 54, which is what we got last season. One better would be 55, and that would be a record. Therefore, if we think that our future is Premier League, then let's play into that. Let's buy into that future, buy long term, and therefore offer the money that they want. Or we'll see if Pepe wants to come anyway. Pepe may have. Then Pepe, his point of view of things would be, I'm playing really well here at PSV. I want to get in the World Cup squad in the summer. Why would I come to a brand new league under a brand new manager and system in a completely different environment and maybe risk hindering my form for the World Cup when I could just see out this season, go to the World Cup, and then we'll see from there. That's the predicament that situation's in for Fulham. Unless Fulham just pay the 40 and then we get a big old here we go from someone and then we can start moving with the move. But if Fulham think and are confident that they're going to be in the Premier League next season and then want to keep Marco Silva happy as well and have the funds to do it, then maybe just do it. Maybe just do it. That's my thinking. I think if Fulham offered 40 million for Pepe, they would ask for 45 million. So offering 25 probably means 30 with add-ons. Yeah, I mean, they could structure the deal with a 30 plus whatever and whatever. 55 points euro. Okay. So yeah, that's my thinking behind the whole. Oh, they pushed it to 7:45. Actually, the darts. Fair enough. All right, so we'll wrap it up now then. That's my thinking towards the Pepe deal. Do I think it gets done in this window? I'd be very surprised, but also it'd be a huge statement of intent if we did do it. And yeah, and Pepe will look at the situation and go, well, hold on, I've still got to compete against Raul Jimenez and Rodrigo Muniz. Muniz just signed a new contract at the club. But I think it's like Muniz is not naive. Like he's gonna know that when Jimenez goes, he's gonna have someone breathing down his neck, trying to compete for his place. That's just football, right? You probably go to him, look, sign the contract. You're our number 9. You're going to be our main striker, but you will have someone competing with you because that's just football, right? But it's your place to lose, It's your place to lose, Rodrigo. And the Rodrigo Muniz thing, by the way, is great. It really was. In the summer, I was really fearful that he was going to go, and then he didn't. But I remember when we scored against Brighton, he scored against Brighton. He actually sort of came out and did an interview, and he did an interview a few weeks after that as well, saying like his head was a bit all over the place. There was a lot of speculation. I'm happy to get it sorted. Players and agents and teammates. Was Pereira in his ear? I don't know. Was Pereira in his ear? But yeah, I'm just glad that's all sorted. He signed a new contract. It's sort of almost been forgotten about that he'd signed a new contract because as soon as he did, he got injured and he hasn't played since really. So, and now he's in the away end. So props to Rodrigo. He's proper Fulham, and like you could see around his house, like he puts on Instagram all the time, like all his memorabilia he's got around his house. He's so Fulham coded. I absolutely love to see it. He is someone I really want to chat to once he's back in full flow when he comes back in mid-Feb, and I can't wait to see him back. Let's end it there. Great assessment. Another thought I've had behind my any striker we signed by the time Marco has bedded him in, Muniz will be fit. Yeah, exactly. So he'll still be competing with Rodrigo, whoever comes in. Any news about Sterling? I think it's more that Sterling's looking for a new club, and Fulham are just Sterling's looking for a new club. His agent wants him to play for a new club, and Fulham is probably a team that he fancies playing for because of the system or Silver, or the fact that we're sort of mid-table in the Premier League, looking for European football. Any news about Sterling? Oh, that's what I just answered. Blue Co, don't it make you sick? Hate them lot. Blue Co, what a joke. Definitely need a striker this window, in my opinion. Agreed. Is there any news on Jean? Billy Jean? Oh, Keane. Moise Keane. I mean, no, not really. Wouldn't be surprised if his name comes up again, but not someone that I'm overly, pardon the pun, keen on. Would you believe it? Any idea on how much we have to spend this window? I have no idea. No idea. I think we could beat Liverpool this weekend. Oh, hey, let's just to quickly end things. Liverpool prediction. I'll do a proper preview on Patreon tomorrow. It's tricky, isn't it? Liverpool not in the best of. Well, they're in good form. They're having the best of seasons. I mean, we win, we go 3 points behind Liverpool. That's insane. Our record against them is pretty decent recently. I think we might get our squad is stretched, to be fair. There might be some tired legs out there. I think we can get a point at home. I think 1-1 again would be all right. We haven't drawn since August, and suddenly 2 come around in the space of a couple of days. You take a point, obviously, if we were to get some points out of them lot and Liverpool. I think that stands us in good stead. To be on 30 points by match day 20 would be fantastic, or the 20th game of the season if you want to be that way inclined. Wayne comes in with the 2-1 prediction, 2-1 to Fulham. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Keep a clean sheet, like a nice 0-0 or 1-0 or 2-0, 3-0, 4-0 would be fantastic. I do want to see some Liverpool tears. That would be fantastic. Take care, guys. Thank you for jumping on. I know it's a Friday crazy night. Doesn't feel like a Friday, but enjoy the darts. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back again probably Monday with a stream. If something massive happens tomorrow, then maybe we'll go live tomorrow. Well, we will go live tomorrow. Sunday's obviously the game, so we'll do a live stream before the game from Craven Cottage. Take care, guys. Come on, Fulham. And for those on YouTube, take care and come on, Fulham.